Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women. Good afternoon, everyone. Just trying to get me to the Facebook stream. Welcome to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm. And as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Wellness Wednesday. And you know the drill. Every Wednesday, we look at a health-related topic where we look at causes, symptoms, and what you can do to improve your health if you are indeed battling with the particular condition that we are going to be discussing. So today, we are going to be talking about a disease that has been thrown into the international spotlight after a smackdown during the live Oscars on Sunday night, when Will Smith got up and slapped Chris Rock because Chris made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's bald head. Unfortunately, it touched a nerve because Jada Pinkett Smith suffers from a disease called alopecia. Alopecia is a disease which causes one to lose their hair. Now, it's not clear if Chris Rock was aware of that when he made the joke, but it clearly touched a nerve. And we all know what happened thereafter. So we're going to be talking about the disease alopecia today. Now, I had originally planned to do part 2 of the show that I did last week. And then I got a call from my guest today. And she said, you know, Michelle, everybody's talking about alopecia. I said, yeah. She says, well, would you be willing to do a show on that? I said, well, that's not a bad idea. She says, I'd like to come on the show because I suffer from alopecia. It's like, wow, I didn't know that. So I made some changes so that we could be discussing this topic today. So we're going to take a comprehensive look at alopecia because everybody's been talking about one type of alopecia since the incident at the Oscars. But you're going to be surprised to learn that there is more than one type of alopecia. And we're going to go deep into it today to understand what is happening to the body when this happens to you and what you can do to reverse the condition. So I want to begin, as I always try to do, by laying the foundation for what we're going to be talking about today. And that is to understand the disease itself. What does the word alopecia mean? It comes from a Greek word, alopex, A-L-O-P-E-X, which means fox. Now, you may say, okay, what does a fox have to do with balding? Well, apparently, the reason that the name alopecia comes from the word alopex, which means fox, is because foxes, certain foxes get an infection with mites which causes them to start losing their hair in different patches. And so that's the reference to them and the naming of this disease, alopecia. So as we're going to learn in this show, there are more than one types. There's more than one type of alopecia. But I want to begin the show by looking at a general view of alopecia, what it is, the causes, etc. And so we're going to go to clip number 1. And then after that, we're going to break it down and look at the 11 types of alopecia that there are. So let's go to clip number 1.
Alopecia areata is an autoimmune disease in which the body attacks the hair follicles and suppresses hair growth. What triggers the immune system to attack the hair follicle is not known. Certain factors that predispose an individual to a greater risk of developing the condition include a family history of the condition, celiac disease, type 1 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis. Symptoms: hair begins to fall out, mainly from the scalp. One or more well-defined spots of hair loss on the scalp. Thinning of the hair on the scalp. Itching or burning in the area of hair loss. Alopecia areata can also affect the fingernails and toenails. Changes that may occur to the nails are white spots and white lines appear. Nails become thin and split. Nails get rough. Diagnosis: your doctor may need to review your symptoms and look at the extent of your hair loss during diagnosis. The doctor may also need to examine some hair follicles. A scalp biopsy, where a small piece of skin on your hair will be removed for analysis, is performed. This is done to rule out other conditions that may cause hair loss. Blood tests may be performed to check for the presence of one or more antibodies associated with an autoimmune disorder. This is done if autoimmune conditions are suspected. Treatment: there is no known cure for alopecia areata. However, the condition can be treated. The aim of treatment is to stop future hair loss or help the hair grow back more quickly. The effectiveness of each treatment will vary among individuals. Some people don't need treatment as their hair grows back on its own. Certain medications, such as minoxidil, can be rubbed into the scalp to help stimulate hair growth. Steroid injections or corticosteroid creams and ointment can also be used. In some cases, to promote hair growth, photochemotherapy may be used. To help minimize discomfort, some certain steps may also be taken, including use of sunscreen to protect exposed area from sunburns. Wig, hat, or scarf can be worn to protect the hair. Alopecia areata associated with celiac disease may be treated with a gluten-free diet. This allows for complete and permanent regrowth of hair on the scalp and other body parts.
So I want to make clear that my approach is always from an holistic standpoint. So whereas that clip talked about medications, those medications have side effects. Our goal as holistic health coaches is to teach you how to reverse illness holistically so that you are not faced with side effects as a result of trying to get rid of one condition and you end up with another. So my approach during this show is going to be from that angle. And you would have heard him talk about alopecia areata. That's only one of 11 different types of alopecia. I did not know that until I started preparing for this show. But there are 11 types of alopecia. And some of these conditions are not really a hair loss problem. Now, that may surprise you. The hair loss is merely a symptom of the real problem. And the underlying problem is the immune system. Surprise, surprise. Alopecia is an autoimmune disease. So whereas most people or many people who are going through this, the first thing they want to focus on is maybe I need to change my shampoo, or maybe I need to start using some kind of cream on my head. That is just a symptom. You have to deal with the problem at the source. if you want to truly have the condition, reversed. Close the door for me, please. Oh, she's coming in. So understand that this is not a hair loss problem, even though there's hair loss. Understand that that is merely a symptom, and the underlying real problem is the immune system. So when someone has an autoimmune condition, they give off antibodies against their own tissues. So in other words, your body, when you have an autoimmune illness, starts to attack itself. And in certain types of alopecia, what is going on is your body develops antibodies against your own hair follicles. And that creates a loss of hair, of some type of, or some type of thinning of the hair, or damage to the hair root, or the hair just won't grow. So the real challenge is to figure out what triggered the autoimmune response. And we're going to talk about that in the show. Other types of alopecia could have a genetic component, but I don't want you to get too caught up in the word genetic, because it's not like it's something that you can't handle or can't manage, because there's something called epigenetics, which is actually above your genes. So you can do something about this, even if this is as a result of some kind of genetic predisposition. So I don't want you to say, throw your hands up in the air because your mother had alopecia, and so you figure, well, there's nothing I can do about it, because that is not true. So you have other types of alopecia, like I said. Some could have a genetic component. And then there's a type of alopecia that is caused by too much DHT, which is a very powerful form of testosterone. And so you'll find that there are multiple reasons why you may be suffering from this hair loss situation. So what we're going to do in this next clip is we're going to describe each type of alopecia, because remember now there are 11 different types. And we're also going to look at remedies during this show. So let's go to clip number 2.
So let's start with number 1, alopecia areata. Okay, now what does the word areata mean? It comes from the Latin word, which means area, as in a vacant space or patch. Okay, so this is where you see patches of hair loss throughout your hair because of a certain autoimmune disease. Now, there are certain types of alopecia areata that I'm going to describe right now. This is going to include different patterns of hair loss to your eyebrows, hair loss to different parts of your body. But with this condition, there's usually a problem with your T cells. That's part of the immune system. Your body has some type of confusion, and it's attacking the wrong thing, our own hair. And so this general type of alopecia areata can then get worse and become alopecia areatus totalis, which means that you have this total hair loss in the top of your head, which I will get into in a minute, or alopecia areata universalis, which is hair loss throughout the entire body and the rest of the hair in your body, including your pubic hair and axillary hair, the hair underneath your armpits. And then the next type of alopecia is called diffuse alopecia areata, and sometimes referred as incognita. And don't ask me why they use these incredibly long names, maybe to make them sound very, very scientific. So in this diffuse type, instead of having patches of hair loss, you have areas that are very, very thin. So the hair follicle is very, very thin, and it looks like there's some patches. Then we have the next type called alopecia areata ophiacis. Try to say that 3 times. In this type, you have hair loss on the sides of the head, as well as in the lower back part of your skull. This type is really difficult to treat with medications, so I would go with natural recommendations, which I'm going to get to. Okay, so the next one is called alopecia barbae. This one is a loss of hair either on your mustache or your beard. So this version could also occur with other types of hair loss as well, but it's very specific to the beard and mustache area. All right, the next one is called androgenic alopecia. Another name for this would be pattern hair loss. Now, normally hair grows in these little groups between 3 and 4 hairs. And so with this condition, you're going to see those little patches of hair or little groups of hair start shrinking or atrophying. And so the number of hairs in these little groups are going to get less and less and less. And eventually when they're gone, you're going to see more scalp than you see hair. And so androgenic alopecia is commonly known as male pattern hair loss, but you also have women pattern hair loss too. And this is the most common cause of hair loss. In fact, 50% of men over the age of 50 have this condition. And 50% of women over the age of 65 start developing this condition. And so in a man, you'll see receding hair loss right up to here, and then a loss of hair on the top part of the head. And with women, you'll see more just thinning on the top part of the head. All right, this next one has a very long name. So we're just gonna call it CCCA, okay? Just to make it really simple. So this type involves scarring on the top of your head. This is most common in women that have an African descent. And adding some vitamin E oil, in fact, massaging that into the scalp, can be a great thing to help break down some of the scar tissue and also provide more oxygen stimulation to the scalp. But the problem is if it's there too long, the scar tissue could get to the point where it's permanent, it's irreversible. All right, the next one is called frontal fibrosing alopecia. This one involves the sideburns and the frontal part of your head. This mostly involves menopausal females, but it can also affect men as well. So with this, you're going to see a lot of receding of the hair through here due to scar tissue. Some people may lose their eyebrows or eyelashes with this condition. All right, the next one is called traction alopecia. And this occurs because there's strain or stress on the hair roots. It usually occurs.
Will Smith slapped Chris Rock after
Down
the
the
comedian
11
made
note.
a joke about his wife Jada's alopecia, likening her bald head to the shaven head of Demi Moore's in the film.
So we in that video, that's his Dr. Berg, he's breaking down the various types of alopecia. Like I said, there are 11 different types of alopecia. And what we would have learned is that where's it coming from? Okay. All right. What we would have learned is that this is more than just something that happens to men. Obviously, it happens to women, but there are different types of alopecia that could be triggered by certain things. Like what you didn't get to see in that video because we had to stop it early is when another type of alopecia is when you have too much tension on the hair. And because of that constant tension, you're literally pulling your hair out from the root. So like women who get a lot of weaves, in terms of the weave that is sewn in, and it's constant tension on the hair, or those tight braids, eventually the hairline starts to go back and back and back to the point if they don't stop, they end up bald. Naomi Campbell is a great example of that. With so many years of weaves and whatever else she was doing to her hair, she is now bald under the wig she's wearing. And so that is another thing that can cause alopecia. And there's one that he did not mention, which makes a lot of sense now that I understand the autoimmune response, and that is people who are exposed to certain toxins like mold, your hair will fall out. That I experienced when I was going through my battle with mold. I lost most of my hair. It became extremely thin to the point where it didn't make sense to try to, I just said, man, whatever, just start over and cut everything off. And that's how I ended up going natural, because all of my hair fell out. And that was a result of being exposed to mold. Now, why would that make sense? Because mold is a toxin which damages your gut. And as we would have heard, you heard the connection with the first report about the connection between celiac disease or having a diet with gluten, which we know, if you listen to the show, damages the gut to the point where things start seeping into your bloodstream, which causes what? An autoimmune response. And alopecia is an autoimmune disease. So now it adds up and makes sense. My guest is here, Fontella Chipman Rolle. When people hear her name on the show, they think she coming to row but changing the system. But that's not her role today. She is
No.
here to talk about alopecia from someone who is living with this condition. And I didn't know that until she told me that. So Fontella, welcome back to GPS.
Thank you, Michelle, and hello to the Bahamas. Thank you. Today, you're right, Michelle. We're not here to row and about changing the system, but today I hope again I'm thankful to God for providing this space, and on such a delicate topic, I'm just praying that the words that are expressed empowers women today. I hope that someone who hears my story is able to be empowered by what I say, to have a different outlook on this this condition. So we are grateful to God for you always providing an opportunity to reach your people in a positive way. Lord, let every word be taken with the right intent. Heavenly Father, may it empower, may it enlighten, may it encourage everyone that hears it. So thank you again, Michelle. I'm here as always. I mean, this is getting a regular.
I know,
I love
right?
this.
I must have got to soon bring
love
you on as a
this.
co-host or something.
Yes.
At this rate. How did your alopecia journey begin? Tell us the story.
Well, it's, Michelle, it started, as I can remember, it started when I had my first child.
That is also one of the types that he mentioned, that
Yes.
because of hormonal changes, etc., women lose their hair.
Yes.
But usually that's a temporary thing and you can get it back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it started then. And Michelle, of course, when I was younger, I wanted, I had the latest styles. You had all the braids, you had the bleaching. I just loved to change it up. And so when I noticed it happening, that was the first diagnosis that the doctor said, your hormones are off balance.
Right.
It's because you had your child. And I had a head full of hair. My hair was very thick. But once you did a path in my hair, you could see the thinning at the roots. So for me, it looked like I still had a full head of hair. But as soon as you take the comb and you pat it down the center, you realize that it's thinning out. So I paid no attention to it. At the time, for me, I was still wearing wigs and braids and everything. So I continuously, it continued. After a while, you thought after 2 years or so, it should be getting better.
Right.
But it didn't. So I started to investigate, and I went to doctor after doctor. Michelle, I spent so much money. I even remembered I went to Cuba and all to find out.
Wow.
I'm telling you. So it was at that point that, you're trying to figure this out, what's wrong. Then they told me I had a thyroid problem, of course, the hormonal imbalance. But we took the test, and the test came back
that your thyroid was fine.
That it was fine.
Yeah.
But yet I knew I was experiencing this condition.
Right.
It was happening.
Right.
So I kept trying to figure it out, and I kept going from doctor to doctor. I even recall going to a dermatologist. And we took a biopsy of my scalp, and that came back negative. And I'm telling you, even though a woman, I'm telling my story, but I'm sure this is the case for many. At the time, Michelle, you're thinking about the physical, right?
Yes.
It's all about your hair is your beauty. Your hair makes the woman. We know all of these things that we have been told or we've learned. And for me, all I could think about is what people will say, how I will look. And mind you, before then I was wearing wigs because I was always changing it up. But the mere fact that now I did not have my hair, I cannot take this off. If I did,
it's not just an option anymore.
It's not just an option anymore.
Right.
And so it really, like I said, it was the physicalness of this condition that you become so consumed with. It affects your mental state. You're almost, you're afraid if the wind blow and your hair goes up, you're afraid if something should happen, you fall and the wig comes off. You're on an emotional roller coaster. So years and years, I kept looking and trying to find out what this condition was, but yet nobody could tell me. Of course, I've heard alopecia. I've heard they also said that I might have Graves' disease. Have you heard about that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was going from doctor to doctor, but no one could even tell me the reason why it was happening. So then I had my second child. And when I had my second child, it just seemed to take on another
Wow.
level.
Wow.
And so my hair started to thin in patches all over the place. Now I still had hair, but it was thinning even more.
Mhm.
But you will find that you will have clear spots, one spot here
Mhm.
today, and next month there will be another spot. And I mean, Michelle, there were days you can't sleep, you're thinking about it. And then when it becomes so extreme, you start to think about the health side of it, because you're so consumed with the physical, the
Right.
outside.
Right.
Now you know this thing is not getting better.
Mhm.
You're losing more hair. So you want to know what's causing this. And so now the doctors are not telling you anything.
Because they don't know.
They don't know. There's no root to this condition. They can't tell you where it starts, where it begins. They can't tell you anything. So now you're really in this mental state that, oh my God, I pray something, everything is okay. And you are trying every remedy, Michelle. Everybody has an answer. Maybe you should try this.
Yeah.
I saw a way the doctor just said, the gentleman just said, try vitamin E. I tried vitamin E, the massage therapy. I tried everything, but yet it wasn't working. So for me, I had to put myself in a better mental state living with this condition because I was so consumed with it. And that's when it took a turn for me. I literally had to pray to God to ask him to help me with it. I'm telling you, that's how consumed you become with it. And as I asked God to help me, I started just thanking him for not being sick. It was almost to a point, Michelle, I can tell you, it's like you would rather the doctors tell you a condition, tell you what it is.
So at least you know.
At least you know.
Mhm.
And then you can, the plan, you said the plan from there.
Right.
So, but for me, that didn't happen. And so for me, I just decided, oh God, you got to help me live with this and help me live a fruitful life with this. And from then, as day by day, I just saw myself getting stronger and comfortable in who I was, changing the mindset that my hair was who I am. And I just started telling people, they said, well, Fontella, I haven't seen you wear your hair in years. And I'll say, yes, because my hair is thin. I have alopecia. And for them, they're really, what is that? A lot of people don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
You have women who I know there's a lot of women experiencing this condition, and they do not want to talk about it. They do not discuss it. They don't want to let people know that they're experiencing this condition. And there are some women, I recall a lady saying to me, she wake up, she go to bed with her weave on, and she wake up with her weave on. Her husband has never seen her hair after this condition.
Wow.
And so it tells you the pressure it puts on a woman to know that her hair is no longer there. It becomes an obsession. And for me, I continuously, that happened to me for many, many years. So now I am so comfortable talking about it, or trying to empower women who experience the same situation, or women who just wear their hair bald. It's such an appreciation for that, because you find that women refuse to talk about it. I told someone I was coming here to talk about that today. You know what the person said? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to tell people about that? They don't know. But I wanted to express that. That's how comfortable I am now in this, because it doesn't consume me any longer. I live my purpose-filled life without the hair that you think that I should have. And for me, I thought wig was the best thing since sliced bread anyway, because a lot of the doctors too, Michelle said, just like you mentioned, the initial reasoning was because the bleach and the tight braids. And I did that all the time. But I went natural for 2-3 years, and the condition
still didn't come back.
change.
Because, and I, first and foremost, let me thank you for deciding to come here today to have this conversation. You are verbalizing the pain that we saw in Jada Pinkett Smith's face on Monday night.
Yes.
Sunday night.
Yes.
She clearly was hurt by that. And this is a woman who has publicly talked about her alopecia, showed her bald head and everything.
Yes.
But that joke that Chris Rock told hit a nerve.
Right.
And you right now are verbalizing the pain that we saw. And I'm really thankful to you for coming here to talk about this today, because people need to understand there is this emotional aspect of this whole topic, especially for women. See, for men, it's almost we used to a man going bald. So, you know, some men, they have a hard time when they losing their hair, but you as a man. But for a woman, this is a hard thing. Because like you said, so much of our identity is tied into our appearance and our hair. And so I'm glad you're here today, and I'm hopeful that you will learn something yourself during the show that will empower you to be able to grow your hair back, because a lot of people focus on, like you said, the physical, not understanding, like I would have said while we were waiting to get into the studio, that this is an internal problem. This is not a hair loss problem. The hair loss is merely a symptom of what is going on inside your body. Of course, one of our viewers on Facebook, Hasheen, says you guys are talking to the wrong doctors. You know, Hasheen, the thing is, as I often say on this show, their approach is always treat the symptom. So you will hear them say things like use steroids or use Rogaine or whatever, but that's just treating the symptom. Unless you get to the source of the problem, you're gonna continue to have a problem. So today we're gonna be talking about the source, but we also have to look at the emotional aspects of this as well. And on the other side of this break, we're going to hear from another woman who too has alopecia. And she is going to talk about, which I guess she's going to continue what we've already heard from Fontella, in that we as persons who are not dealing with this, we need to understand how to be sensitive towards people's emotional state. You know, in the Bahamas, we like to, it's our job to tell you what we see. Like for people who are overweight, oh, why you putting on so much weight? Like I needed you to tell me I put on weight. So we need to understand the need for sensitivity when it comes to alopecia. And we'll talk about that and more, because we definitely will look at solutions during this show. You're going to be surprised. So stay with us. This is GPS. We'll have more on this topic after these words from our sponsors.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, paint, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Youngevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. Welcome back to GP Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company. Today we are talking about alopecia, hair loss. And as you would have learned in the first segment, there are 11 different types of alopecia, not just the one that everybody's talking about now because of Jada's situation. That's just one of 11. But there's so much misinformation out there. I'm just looking at even some of the comments right now. So on Facebook. So Rhonda says you need scalp treatment in order to have healthy hair. So treat the scalp with natural stuff. Sorry, Rhonda, you must have tuned in late. Because as we would have said at the beginning of the show, this is not a hair problem. Hair loss is only a symptom of the problem. Alopecia is an autoimmune response. Your immune system goes haywire. It starts attacking your own cells. In this case, it attacks your hair follicles, damages it to the point where hair either falls out or can't grow. That is what causes alopecia. So treating it at the scalp, at the surface that Fontella just so eloquently expressed in the first portion of the show will not work because you're treating a symptom. And as I often say on this show, it's not about treating a symptom. It's about getting to the disease at the root cause of it, because that's the only way that you can fix it and not just put a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage. Hasheen is more along the right lines. Hasheen says true healing and balanced health is based on the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual and environmental balance conditions. You're heading in the right direction, Hasheen. But a major part of this is gut health. And y'all know that this is a song I sing all the time about the importance of gut health. I, too, was surprised to learn that this is an autoimmune disease that is related to the gut. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, I want to talk more about sensitivity, because this is very emotional, especially for women. Men probably go through some emotions as well when they first begin losing their hair. This is why Rogaine is such a big seller. Why, I'm just for men and hair dye and all this kind of stuff. People have been wearing toupees for many, many years. So this isn't, I don't want to just dismiss the feeling of men, because hair for generations in men has been seen as virility. It's how it's a part of a man's identity of being young and a young, virile man, and then you lose your hair, and all of a sudden, everybody looks at you as an old man. So I get it. There's an emotional aspect to this as well for men. But a big part of this is we have to understand why it is important for us to be sensitive to the needs of others who are going through this. And in this particular clip, we hear from a woman who, too, is suffering from alopecia, and she was glad that attention was brought to alopecia as a result of the slap, but sad that attention was drawn from alopecia because of the slap. In other words, she was happy to see Will defend his wife. She just wished he had not done it in the way he had done it, because that is sucking up so much energy and attention away from the actual thing that we should be talking about from the incident, which is the alopecia. Let's go to that clip.
Will Smith slapped Chris Rock after the comedian made a joke about his wife Jada's alopecia, likening her bald head to the shaven head of Demi Moore's in the film G.I. Jane. It's caused outrage across the globe. And joining us this morning is alopecia advocate Katie Hale, who also lives with the condition. Thanks so much for talking to us this morning, Katie.
Thanks so much for having me.
Now, you've come out in support of Jada, but I'd love to know, what was your reaction when you first saw all of that unfold yesterday?
It was a real roller coaster of emotion. I mean, you know, it brought up quite a lot of trauma. This is something that happens on a regular occurrence for anyone that has alopecia, particularly females, because you're not used to seeing it, and people make the wrong assumptions, or they think it's funny to kind of, you know, diffuse their own awkwardness about the situation. And it's a daily occurrence. You know, people constantly stare as you walk down the street and those kinds of things. And so to see this happen on such a public, grand scale was just, it was infuriating, and just, it just brings to light all those emotions that you feel on a regular basis, and go, you know, if someone in Hollywood's not even immune to it, then, you know, how do you expect anyone else in public to be able to expect them to act any differently?
And how does a joke like this make you feel, Katie?
It's sad. It's just, like I said, it's infuriating, you know, and for him to react, Will Smith to react so violently towards that as well, like, that doesn't make the situation any better. It just makes it worse. You're inflaming the situation, and instead of having a conversation about why it's not appropriate or funny to make jokes about someone's medical condition, now it's all about Will Smith punching another, like a comedian. It shouldn't be. You know, it's just, there are so many emotions. It's infuriating, it's upsetting, and it's embarrassing. It's yeah.
Katie, you began losing your hair in your 20s. Can you share a little bit about your condition?
Yeah, so I was 23. I started off with a tiny little patch on the back of my head, which I wasn't quite sure what it was at that time. And then it started falling out pretty rapidly. Within a week, I lost half the hair on my head. And then in the space of about 6 months, I had lost everything head to toe, and it's never come back. It happened quite so suddenly that there wasn't any time to kind of hide it or do anything like that. It was just, it just happened, and you had to deal with it, you know, on the fly, and, you know, hope that everyone around you was going to be okay with that. And people just, you know, like, you could see the dramatic shift immediately in the way people treated you, and how the public treated you and saw you, and felt that they could change, you know, how they interacted with you, and felt like it was okay to, you know, come up to a stranger and make comments or stare. It's just, yeah.
What do you think will be the impact of what we saw yesterday, Katie? I mean, obviously, Will Smith was clearly outraged by the joke that his wife had spent. He chose violence to respond. Do you feel as though his reaction might draw the attention away from having a serious conversation, or push it towards having that conversation?
Look, yes and no. We're having this conversation right now, and we've steered it back to what it should have been about, which is, you know, the fact that you shouldn't be making jokes about someone's medical condition or appearance or anything like that. And it's been really heartwarming to see so many people try and steer that narrative back to, you know, having these important conversations. But also, you know, it is important that we address the fact that violence is not the answer. You don't walk up and punch someone because they said something you don't like. It's as simple as that. There's no defending your family honour or anything like that. That's not what it's about. You don't use violence, and it's, you know, it's just an awful situation all round.
A lot of people are saying Will Smith should apologise to Chris Rock for hitting him. Should Chris Rock apologise for telling the joke?
I think both should. It's, you know, both men are in the wrong here. The whole situation should never have happened. It started because Chris Rock made a joke that shouldn't have been made, and Will Smith reacted in a way he shouldn't have. Both have a role to play here.
Great stuff. Katie, thank you so much for joining us this morning and talking to us.
My absolute pleasure.
Okay, so for the record, Will has since apologized to Chris. I don't think I've heard anything about Chris apologizing to Jada for the joke. How do you feel, Fontella, with what was just expressed by that woman in that clip?
First, I just want to say, I think Rhonda, who made a comment, is my friend. So thank you so much, Rhonda, for tuning into Michelle Malcolm's show today on a very, very serious and emotional topic. But I feel, first of all, I want to address the feeling that she said about how people respond to you. And I have worn my hair bald because I still have hair. So what I do is I braid it up. It's just in certain patches. I braid it up and then I just wear my wig on top of it. But even in that, Michelle, people look at you. If I wear my hair just like that with just the braids, it's a response, even from family members, because they're not used to seeing you like that. So you get a response that you feel within yourself that, why is everyone looking at me like this? And again, that it plays on the emotional side of it,
Right.
this physicalness, like we said. But in reference to, I'm on the fence with this response by Chris Rock. When I say on the fence, I believe that anyone who would have been sitting there had a bald head, I believe that he would have made that joke in reference to that. Now, it's because the joke we made is at someone else's expense. See, we have to be sensitive to the fact that we make a joke and the laugh is on someone. But do we know the depth of that emotional connection?
Right.
So now he's making a joke on something that's very sensitive. So the response is different. If that had been someone now who just chose to shave their head, you probably would have had a different response.
Right.
But it gives us an opportunity now to be sensitive on what we say, because we really don't know the issue. We could be making a joke and that person is going through chemotherapy.
Exactly.
So we have to be very careful. And we do that as a human race. We make fun at someone else's expense. And now in these times, Michelle, when things are so, it's so tough emotionally from what we have gone through with the COVID, their family, you don't know what is going on in someone's mind. It's not the opportune time to make joke of any situation. You have to really think about that, because the response could be something that you're not prepared for. So for me, I want to say that we need to be sensitive. And also, and that's not just in reference to alopecia or anything, be careful how we make joke of people, because we do not know what is going on inside their minds. This is a difficult time that the world is going through. Everyone is smiling, but we don't know the internal situation. So please, guys, we can even equate that to bullying.
Yeah.
We got to be careful how we communicate or make light of certain situations, because we really don't know the depth of it. But I've experienced that. I have that same emotion of, having people look at you a certain way or ask the question, what's wrong? I mean, why? And these are answers you do not have. So in this situation, for me, I was lucky when I hear about her. She said she lost her hair in a matter of 2 weeks.
Listen, I came across a video as I was preparing for the show of a girl who lost her hair at 15. That woman said she lost it at 23. Imagine at 15, you're already fragile at that age. At 15, this girl lost her hair.
Yes.
So, oh my God. I mean, and one of the, for the interest of time, I didn't pull that clip to air, but one of the things she said is that she had very supportive friends, and they would sort of spray, color onto her scalp, for them to go out, and then she's out one evening and it starts to rain and she's in a panic because now all so they had to put a hoodie over it. It's just, but this is what people are going through.
Yes.
And as we can see, this particular disease starts in children.
Yes.
So it's not like this is only for elderly people or only for men. Children deal with this. Now, luckily, most children can be some of the worst bullies, but depending on the age of the child, they ain't checking no how. So it really doesn't. Their hair has, they haven't identified as yet.
Yes.
But the older you get, the more that becomes a part of your identity, and it could wreak some serious havoc on your emotional state.
Michelle, at the time I was going through this, I just prayed that this did not happen to my children, because just like that, as a teenager, can you imagine?
Yeah.
double. The emotion is double. It's devastating to them. And I always said, God, please don't let this happen to my girls. I have girls. Don't let this happen to my girls, because I don't know if they could deal with it, because it was just that burdensome. It's just that heavy. And you really, really have to be emotionally strong to help you get through it. Even now, like I said, even now, you have to wear it loosely and wear it lightly in order for you to move forward. And that's why I hope this conversation today is, I hope people can see themselves in me and be empowered, that it doesn't have to, define the rest of your life. You don't have to be in this closet about this situation. It's wider and bigger than you think.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, definitely, I hope that, listen, if you know anybody who is going through this, whether silently or openly, please encourage them to listen to the show, because especially in the second half of the show, we're going to be looking at root causes of this. There's a reason that this is happening to your body. When it comes to our bodies, nothing just happens. Our bodies are these incredibly intelligent machines that are all, the systems are all interconnected. And when something wrong in one area, especially the gut, and we have to talk about the gut, because this is it all ties back to the gut. For most types of alopecia, I'm not talking about alopecia that's caused by chemotherapy or alopecia that's caused from tension on the hair, so the braids and not pulling on the hair. I'm talking about your hair falling out without you doing anything that you are aware of that should cause your hair to fall out. There's a reason that is happening. And it all ties back, as we have learned in this show. And if you tuned in late, I urge you to go back after it's done and watch it from the beginning. Because what we have learned is that this is a disease of your immune system. It is what is called an autoimmune disease. What does that mean? It means that your immune system is overreacting for some reason. Where does that start? Well, we have to go back to the gut. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this in the last segment of the show. But in the next couple of minutes before we take a break, I'm just going to sort of lay the foundation for what we are going to talk about in that last segment. If this is an autoimmune disease, which we now know it is, then we have to address this from that starting point, not from the creams on the hair and the what do you call it? They said to put a vitamin E oil or Rogaine or what was the other thing? Steroids. That's treating symptoms. And if all you want to do is manage symptoms for the rest of your life, knock yourself out. But if you want to address this from the root cause, then we have to look at your gut. Your gut health is at the center of this conversation, because I think up to 80 to 90% of your immune system is in your gut. So if you have an autoimmune disease, you have a gut problem. Is it 80 to 90%? At least 75% of your immune system, might be 75%, is in your gut. So if you have an immune system problem, you have a gut problem. And in order to fix that, you have to fix the gut. You often hear me say on this show the importance of going gluten-free. And we heard it in the first report where he said, the reporter talked about the importance of a gluten-free diet if your alopecia is due to celiac disease. Well, here's the thing. Celiac disease is not the only problem that you may have with the gut, because a lot of people who come to me for help, and when I'm doing my evaluation, I say, okay, you got to go gluten-free. But I don't have celiac disease. I say, no, celiac disease is just one disease of the gut. That's not the only disease. And based on what I'm seeing from your results, you have a damaged gut. You probably are dealing with leaky gut. Leaky what? Most people have never heard of it.
Yeah.
But leaky gut is what leads to autoimmune problems. So if you are refusing to give up the very things that are damaging your gut, then you're making a decision to live with these other conditions. I always say to people, I had to give up gluten. I had to stop eating inflammatory foods because I had an extremely damaged gut. My gut was damaged because I was exposed to mold long term and because I was eating all these foods, not knowing what they were doing to my gut. So I had a really badly damaged gut. And I had to come to the place in my life where I decided that no food tasted as good as I felt when I wasn't eating the bad stuff. My family still eats gluten, guava duff at every celebration. And I grew up eating some of the best guava duff in the world. And that was my kryptonite until I learned the connection between me eating that duff and me being bent over with pain from the damage I was doing to my gut. So I no longer look at that duff as pleasure. Because let's be real. How long it could take you to eat that sandwich? How long it could take you to eat that piece of bread, that Johnny cake? How long is it going to take you to eat that duff? 10 minutes? If you eat slow? So you rather deal with all your hair falling out for 10 minutes of pleasure? It doesn't make sense. But yet this is what we do on a daily basis. Because we don't want to give up certain things. But those certain things that we're eating are killing us. So for you, it may be rheumatoid arthritis that you have as a result of eating gluten and oils. For somebody else, it may be alopecia. For someone else, it's joint pain. But it all goes back to the gut. So you have to stop doing damage to the gut if you are dealing with these problems. There's no other way to put it. Either you do what you need to do or continue to be sick. If you like it, let it kill you. Wall says Bahamians are not giving up bread, fried food, or alcohol. And that's why they ain't giving up being sick either. That's my point. The choice is yours. Who's this? Laverne says gluten-free. I love cake. I love cake, white flour. Well, then I'm pretty sure you like being sick too. Understand this, people. And then we're going to take a break. Do you want to say something?
No, I wanted to respond to Laverne.
Yeah.
Laverne, that's my old boss. I have all my friends tuning in today. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'd like to know what she meant by that. She said gluten-free. She likes cakes, white flour. Is there a flour that is gluten-free?
Yes.
Okay.
There's gluten-free flour on the market. And here's the thing, what people need to realize. Gluten don't have no taste. Because whenever you say to people, you got to go gluten-free, well, how that could taste? You ever see anybody going and picking up a flour and just eating the raw flour? When is the last time you saw that? Flour tastes so good that they had to go eat the raw flour. Gluten don't have no taste. it ain't got no taste. So I don't understand the reluctance to give it up.
The reluctance is we don't want to try something new, right? We just don't want to give up what we need to. And it's amazing that I'm here today, Michelle, because I'm learning so much. I'm learning a lot of new information from you right now.
Yeah.
Because this I never knew. I think the closest I came to, like I was telling you, is I even went to a body chemist to figure out the problem. We did a lot of blood work, and of course they take a test of your hair, and he's able to tell you the toxins that are in your body. He's able to tell you all these things that are going on. And then he prescribes a lot of supplements that should balance or bring your body back into balance. It's just that it was so many. But it's like you said, if we choose now, for me, I just took it out of my mind emotionally and I just went on. But I still didn't address the issue. Like you said, looking deeper to find out the cause of this.
Right.
Now, hearing you speak about this today, and it comes down to choice, eh? Are we willing to give up what we know is doing our bodies wrong?
And in a lot of cases, people just don't know any better.
Yeah. Yep,
My people perish for a lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
People just don't know any better. Some doctors don't know any better. So they,
That's right.
so they'll tell you, I don't see why you need to stop eating bread. Oh, I don't see why you need to, because they don't know any better. But when you have knowledge, you got to act on the knowledge. It can't be where, okay, I didn't know. Now I know, but I don't want to give up my cake. Is that cake that good that it is worth your hair falling out in the case of alopecia? Is that cake that good that it is worth you having rheumatoid arthritis? Is it that good that it's worth you having joint pain? Is it that good that it's causing you to have brain fog? And let me tell you, I could go on and on and on about the effects of a leaky gut. It affects your entire body. Now we know, including your hair for some people. So is it worth it? We have to make some decisions, y'all. We have to choose to do better when we know better. And it always amazes me when I come across people who didn't know any better, and you give them the knowledge, and they start to do better, and they start to feel well, and then they come back and say, listen, it ain't the same way. I just want to eat what I want to eat. Wow. Really? That tastes that good? That is worth you being sick? I think not. But anyway, we're going to get more into that whole connection with gluten coming up in the show. On the other side of the break, we are going to focus on remedies. If you are dealing with alopecia, what are some of the remedies that you can use? And let me tell you, y'all know, I ain't gonna tell y'all Rogaine, and I ain't gonna tell y'all steroids. Because to me, it don't make sense doing something that could cause something else. So we're gonna look at this from an holistic approach, and we'll have more on that on the other side of the break. Stay with us. This is GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, pinch, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
Economics, finance, or business that could change the future of the Bahamas? Is your completed work fit for publication? You could win $20,000 from the T. Baswell Donaldson.
All right, welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company, talking to Fontella Chipman Rolle. Today we're talking alopecia, which is an autoimmune disease that I learned, not a hair loss problem. Right. The hair loss is just a symptom of the real problem. It's an autoimmune disease, y'all, which means that if you deal with the immune system and correct what's going wrong there, guess what? You can grow your hair back. Our telephone numbers to call on this show are 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0272, 326-0272, 326-0272, or WhatsApp 824-9952, 824-9952. Okay, so we're talking about alopecia today, which is a condition where you lose your hair either in patches or all over your head or even all over your body, where all of the hair on your body falls off. And if you ask a doctor, they will say, oh, this is something that we don't know what causes it, and there's no cure for it. And so you just have to take, this Rogaine and all that kind of stuff. But what we've come to learn is that this is an autoimmune illness where your immune system actually gets confused and starts to attack your own body. And in this case, it attacks your hair follicles to the point where they start to fall out, and your hair follicles become so damaged that the hair either grows back very, very weak, not as strong, or it doesn't grow back at all. So in order to fix this problem, clearly, the sensible thing to do would be to approach this from the standpoint of it being what it is, an autoimmune disease, and looking at what could possibly cause your immune system to overreact in such a way. And so in this next clip, we're going to be looking at Dr. Berg, once again, is going to come forward in this next clip to talk about possible remedies for alopecia. So let's go to clip number 4.
Number 1, rosemary oil is a really great natural oil to rub into your scalp each night before you go to bed. There's certain properties in rosemary oil that are great for many different types of alopecia issues. And as a side note, castor oil is good for the loss of your eyebrows. Now, there's a lot of things you can also use, like onion juice and garlic oil and green tea. Of course, don't put it on your scalp hot, but wait till it cools down and you can rub it into your scalp. But there's many different herbal extracts that can help stimulate the growth of hair. But in this list, there are 7 things I'm going to talk about. 1 is the rosemary oil, okay? Number 2 is taking a really good probiotic. Why? Because in many autoimmune conditions, it starts in your gut. Your gut becomes too permeable. It's called leaky gut. And you have the entire immune system right behind the barrier. And certain things get in there and you start creating all sorts of issues with immune-wise. So a probiotic is very important, especially if you have a history of gut problems that occurred just before you start developing this hair issue. I always recommend to get a clue on what's causing your hair loss is just to look back in time and find out what occurred just before you started to develop this condition. And it could be any condition at all, any body problem. There's always something right before this that triggered it. It could be a severe stress, like a loss of a loved one, which, by the way, is behind a lot of autoimmune diseases. So this gives you information to help you try to undo some of the damage based on what caused it. If it was a stress trigger, then you can work on doing all sorts of things to improve stress, both food-wise, environmentally, and certain supplements. All right, number 3, zinc. Zinc is essential if you have any immune issues at all. Number 4, vitamin D. Vitamin D and zinc for any immune problems is very, very important. Vitamin D is an immune modulator. It is the best remedy for any autoimmune condition. I've done a lot of videos on this, and I would recommend taking nothing less than 10,000 IUs, but probably
Clearly having problems. So I'm going to try to play it again from my end. And I really, really need you guys to hear what is actually being said here. So let me try and play it from my end to see if that makes any difference.
Number 1, rosemary oil is a really great natural oil to rub into your scalp each night before you go to bed. There's certain properties in rosemary oil that are great for many different types of alopecia issues.
Guys, we're clearly having some difficulties. One more time. Let's try this one more time. We got to figure out what's causing this. This is really frustrating. All right, one more time. You try to play it from your end again. See what happens.
Number 1, rosemary oil is a really great natural oil to rub into your scalp each night before you go to bed. There's certain properties in rosemary oil that are great for many different types of alopecia issues. And as a side note, castor oil is good for the loss of your eyebrows. Now, there's a lot of things you can also use, like onion juice and garlic oil and green tea. Of course, don't put it on your scalp hot, but wait till it cools down and you can rub it into your scalp. But there's many different herbal extracts that can help stimulate the growth of hair. But in this list, there are 7 things I'm going to talk about. 1 is the rosemary oil, okay? Number 2 is taking a really good probiotic. Why? Because in many autoimmune conditions, it starts in your gut. Your gut becomes too permeable. It's called leaky gut. And you have the entire immune system right behind the barrier. And certain things get in there and you start creating all sorts of issues with immune-wise. So a probiotic is very important, especially if you have a history of gut problems that occurred just before you start developing this hair issue. I always recommend to get a clue on what's causing your hair loss is just to look back in time and find out what occurred just before you started to develop this condition. And it could be any condition at all, any body problem. There's always something right before this that triggered it. It could be a severe stress, like a loss of a loved one, which, by the way, is behind a lot of autoimmune diseases. So this gives you information to help you try to undo some of the damage based on what caused it. If it was a stress trigger, then you can work on doing all sorts of things to improve stress, both food-wise, environmentally, and certain supplements. All right, number 3, zinc. Zinc is essential if you have any immune issues at all. Number 4, vitamin D. Vitamin D and zinc for any immune problems is very, very important. Vitamin D is an immune modulator. It is the best remedy for any autoimmune condition. I've done a lot of videos on this, and I would recommend taking nothing less than 10,000 IUs, but probably 20 or 30,000 IUs of vitamin D every single day. All right, the next one is using an infrared type treatment on your scalp. There's a lot of new devices coming out that are like little helmets that you put over your head. The infrared spectrum of light energy is really good to help reduce androgenic type problems with the hair. Because what's happening is we have this enzyme that's converting more free testosterone to DHT, which is a very powerful form of testosterone, and that's burning the hair out. And so anything that you can do to interfere with that process is a good thing. And there's a lot of herbal things you can take too, like saw palmetto, stinging nettle root. But the infrared light on your scalp has been shown to create some significant improvement in your hair. All right, so the next one, and fasting. You need to be doing intermittent fasting, okay? And definitely periodic prolonged fasting. Fasting for autoimmune conditions, to drop inflammation, for any genetic problems or weaknesses is dynamite as far as the effectiveness in helping you put this thing back in remission, because we can never say cure. We'll just say put it back in remission. Fasting is probably one of the most powerful epigenetic things you can do, especially if you have a genetic predisposition to any condition. All right, and the last thing is reducing your stress. I've already mentioned that, but there are many, many things you can do to pull yourself out of this stress state. And I'm talking about a chronic stress situation where you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. It could be either environmental, where you're in an environment where there's a lot of stress, or you had a severe loss.
Okay, so a couple of things based on what he would have just said. Stress. Stress is one of the things that will damage your gut. Prolonged, intense stress is one of the things that damages your gut. So that makes perfect sense that this would be related to stress, that people would see an onset of this with stress, because the stress damaged the gut becomes damaged, stuff gets into the bloodstream that shouldn't be there because of the damage, the immune system goes out of whack, starts attacking things. In your case, if you have alopecia, it attacked your hair follicles. It started with the stress, which impacted the gut. Another thing that will impact your gut, toxins. Long-term exposure to toxins, like mold, for instance. My gut became extremely damaged because I was living in a moldy environment without knowing for almost 2 years. And so as long as I lived in that place, I was breathing in that toxin. The toxins were getting into my system and damaging my gut. So I'm never surprised when I come across a client who, we're going through their evaluation and I'm seeing all these crazy numbers, and I could always tell a pattern. And my next question after I see all of these things, I'm like, are you being exposed to any kind of water damage? Yeah, I work in this particular government agency, or yeah, I have a leaky roof at home, or yeah, you're being exposed to mold. So, and mold is just one type of toxin, okay? But toxins will damage your gut. Certain drugs that are prescribed by your doctor will damage your gut. Pathogens will damage your gut. Certain food particles from things like gluten and oils, which cause inflammation in the body. When you have an inflamed gut, you're damaging your gut. And so what happens when you are either stressed to the max, or you taking in all these toxins, or you're eating things like gluten or oils, which cause inflammation, or your doctors prescribe something to you that is damaging to your gut, or pathogens are getting into your system, then what happens is you start to damage the very apparatus that is responsible for absorbing nutrients into your bloodstream. So now you've made yourself a victim twice. You're a victim once because you're damaging your gut, and twice because now you're not even absorbing nutrients into your bloodstream. And the third way that you're a victim is now that your gut is damaged, and what is supposed to be these very tight epithelial cells that are the barrier between your intestines and your bloodstream start to loosen up, and all of these things start seeping into your bloodstream. Now you end up with immune system issues. And this is why it is not worth it to continue to eat the foods that are causing damage to your gut. Because guess what, y'all? This is what leaky gut looks like. And now I have to add alopecia to this list. This is what leaky gut looks like. You start to have problems with your sinus or your mouth, frequent colds, food sensitivities. I'm allergic to this food. I never used to be allergic to this food. Now I can't eat it. That's a sign. Adrenal fatigue. You're tired all the time. That's a sign. Rheumatoid arthritis or regular arthritis, fibromyalgia, headaches. That's a sign. brain fog. You can't concentrate. You can't think straight. You can't remember certain things. Anxiety, depression. That's a sign. Skin problems, acne, eczema, rosacea, psoriasis. That's a sign. Thyroid problems, Hashimoto's disease, hypothyroidism, Graves' disease. That's a sign. Constipation, diarrhea, irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease. That's a sign. And now we can add alopecia. All as a result of a leaky gut. So I asked the question again. Is that slice of cake worth all of that? you understand what I'm saying, Fontella?
Michelle, let me tell you, I came here to speak about the emotional side of having alopecia, but today you have educated me on something I really was clueless about. You know, you hear everybody has a remedy, and I've never heard that I need to go back and examine my gut. I never knew that was an option. I knew everything else, the oils, the creams, everything else. But today, for me, it is worth taking this chance to clean my gut. However, that is going to help me. And when I look at it, you know, my body is experiencing other things. So it's not that this one thing, because the whole system has been thrown off. The here
exactly
is what's happening now.
Right.
But the whole system has done a topsy-turn. So you don't know what else that you're experiencing is because of the situation. So for me, it's worth it. It's worth going gluten-free. But some of us don't think that they're to that point, to that extreme. For me, I still have my hair. You know, some people have lost their eyebrows. They have hair, everywhere on their body. They don't have hair. So I'm not as extreme. But this is only one avenue. This leaky gut or this situation can affect so many different avenues on our bodies that we need to know that it's important for us to do what we need to. Now, you even express things like memory fog. I have that. Tiredness. I experience that. So just sitting here and listening to all of these symptoms already tells me that it's worth it for me to try this.
See, here's the thing, Fontella. A lot of people don't make the connection between those conditions and their gut. They don't understand that there is a connection between the two because you're not being told this. And so I actually have a client who's a nurse, and she was having a lot of problems with joint pain. And so as we went through the consultation, and I looked at her numbers and everything, and I said, you've got a gluten intolerance. You got to stop eating gluten. What you mean, Miss Malcolm? What you mean? I said, listen, nice now. I said, you got to stop eating gluten. Your body's reacting to it. Boy, Miss Malcolm, you want me to give up my bread? I say, boo, you need to listen to your body talking to you. I fill out that form. You fill out that form. They're your symptoms. So maybe you need to start listening to your body. She said, I can try, but I can't promise you nothing. I said, okay. So with my clients, I do a consultation every 30 days after getting them on the program. So the next time I spoke to her, she said, boy, Miss Malcolm, I got a confession to make. I say, what's that? She says, I said to myself one day, this woman ain't know what she talking about. I gotta go eat my bread. She said, Miss Malcolm, the next day, I hardly could have walked for the pain in my joints. I said, that's good for you. You had no business. I say, now you know I'm telling you the truth. But she had to experience that because she figured she didn't know what she talking about. And immediately after she went back to eating that gluten, her body made her pay for it. So now I ain't got to tell her that twice. But she's a nurse. She's in the medical profession.
Wow.
The Bible says my people perish for a lack of knowledge. People just don't know any better. But when you know better, you should do better.
Yes.
And so today we're trying to bring knowledge here. We're talking about alopecia. And I don't want y'all to listen. I just learned myself that this autoimmune disease. All this time I'm thinking, oh, for some reason here for not understanding the connection between your immune system attacking your hair follicles. Who knew? And so this is information that I'm hoping, if you are going through alopecia, that this will give you some hope today to know that there is something that you can do about this. Okay? There is something you can do about this. This is not, I tell people all the time, when it comes to chronic illness, when it comes to disease, believe the diagnosis, but do not believe the prognosis.
Oh, that's interesting.
Believe the diagnosis, but don't believe the prognosis. When they are told that they have a particular condition, they say, oh, the doctor trying to put this on me. The doctor ain't trying to put nothing on you. You put that on yourself. Stop blaming the doctor for your bad behavior. But you got to believe the diagnosis because you cannot fix what you don't acknowledge. So if the doctor tells you you have a condition and you decide to ignore him because you don't want to accept that you have that condition, how are you going to fix it? You can't fix what you don't acknowledge. But don't believe the prognosis. Don't believe that you have to be taking this medication for the rest of your life because there's nothing that can be done. Your body is a healing machine that knows what to do, that is trying to fix itself, wants to fix itself, but just needs the support, the building blocks to do that. And that's where nutrition comes in. Because this isn't just about not eating the bad foods, but you have to give your body what it needs by way of nutrition as well, so that your body can regenerate. It can heal. So it's a two-sided story. I tell people all the time, there's no amount of nutrition that will outdo a poor diet. If you are not willing to clean up your diet and give up the bad stuff, I don't care what program you go on. I don't care how much nutrition you take, expect to continue to be sick. But if you're willing to do what you need to do to heal your body, give your body what it needs to heal, your body it'll spring into action and just heal itself. You people have been sick for years and finally get this knowledge, and within weeks they reverse the condition they had for years. Because your body knows what to do, Fontella. Your body knows what to do. So it's just up to us to, number one, give our bodies what they need to be able to function as they were designed to. And number two, to stop doing the damage to our bodies. And I'm telling you, people, you can heal. I'm so happy to come across this information because even I did not know that this was an autoimmune disease until I started researching for this show. When I was going through my mold problem, I lost all my hair. Those of you who know me long enough would have seen me at one point where I had the buzz cut. My hair was cut down to pretty much the scalp because I had lost all my hair as a result of being exposed to that mold. And I have clients right now. That's one of the telltale signs when they come to me and they say, I have all these other problems and my hair is falling out. Then I'm like, okay, so what's going on here? So knowledge is power, Fontella.
Yep.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
The thing is, will people want to do what they know they need to do in order to heal? That's the question. Siobhan says, so correct. Many of us have gluten intolerance and lack knowledge or don't research the symptoms. I'm trying my best to prepare my meals that way and eat gluten-free meals. Just for the record, people, it is very easy to go gluten-free. It's not hard at all. Just look at it this way. You're just switching brands because there are a lot of brands in the store that are free. So instead of reaching for the regular bread, you buy the gluten-free bread. Now, it may cost you a little bit more than the regular bread, but Fontella, how much money would you say you spent going to the doctors trying to fix your problem?
Thousands.
Thousands of dollars, right?
Thousands of dollars.
So had you known this before you spent all that money, you would have saved money in the long run by making these slight changes, slightly more at the grocery at the counter when you're paying up, but not nearly as expensive as what you would have spent trying to fix the problem.
Yeah, and the problem still isn't fixed.
There you go.
That's the thing.
So, you pay a little bit more upfront, or you pay a lot more on the other end, but you can pay. But just look at it as you're just switching brands. And nowadays, it's not like it was, say, 10 years ago, where gluten-free choices were few and far between, and what you did find, it tastes like cardboard. I remember some years ago, I think it's one of the reasons why I took so long to go gluten-free, because I was told, Michelle, you got to stop eating gluten. I was like, yeah, okay. And child, I go and buy some gluten-free bread. Listen here, that was cardboard. I say, no, this ain't gonna work. I had to throw it away. I couldn't even eat it. That's how bad it was. I said, they expect me to eat this? No, I'd rather deal with the sickness. But guess what? Nowadays, you got options. Yes. There are options now that taste really good. So listen, you can find gluten-free bread, crackers, cookies, pasta, you name it, flour, you name it. You got lots of options nowadays, so you don't have to do gluten. It's not that hard. And especially if you do your own baking, go buy gluten-free flour. It's right in the food store. It's just about switching brands. It can't be where I have somebody that I was working with, and she has lupus, which is an autoimmune disease. And she was, she liked to bake bread. And I said, you got to stop eating the gluten. Michelle, you want me to give up my bread? I said, no, I want you to give up lupus.
That's it. That's the bottom line.
The bread ain't important to me.
Right.
It's the lupus. And as long as you keep eating that, you can keep having lupus, which is more important to you. So it is what it is. But we're going to take a quick break. On the other side of the break, we're going to look more at this whole idea of diet and nutrition as it relates to alopecia, which is why we're here today. What you should and should not be eating, and what you can use to help your body to heal so that you can regrow your hair naturally. So stay with us. This is GPS. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, pinch, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. VTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. Welcome back to GPS on this Wellness Wednesday. We're talking about alopecia today. If you tuned in late, you may say, boy, Michelle, you showed us what you're talking about because you was talking about gut and immune system and health. But as we learned, it's all connected. It's all connected, people. We have learned in this show that alopecia is not a hair loss problem. It's an autoimmune disease for the most part. And I say for the most part because things like chemotherapy can cause alopecia, but chemotherapy weakens your immune system. So again, we go back to the immune system. And that's the hair falls out because it attacks things like your hair follicles. Okay? So we're learning that alopecia, most of the 11 types of alopecia are a result of an autoimmune problem. And we know now, in case you didn't know before, if you aren't a regular listener to GPS on a Wednesday, because I talk about this a lot, we now know that the majority of your immune system is found in your gut. And if you have a damaged gut, or if you're doing continuous damage to your gut, then you are making yourself susceptible to autoimmune responses, which alopecia is one of. And so that means then that we have to make some decisions as far as our diet is concerned, because as I say all the time, there's no amount of nutrition that can outdo a poor diet. So we heard in the last segment of the show, Dr. Berg's remedies that he recommends, which were good, but they were for the most part on the surface, talking about the types of oil to use. Castor oil, Jamaican healing oil is another good one. I think that's a type of castor oil. All of those are great, but if you want to deal with this problem from the root, from the cause, then you have to look at your immune system, and you gotta stop eating the foods that are damaging your gut. So I have to refer to Dr. Joel Wallach. Dr. Joel Wallach, whose protocols we were trained under in the Institute of Holistic Health, teaches us that every human being needs 90 nutrients, regardless of your health status. That's just the gasoline for the car. So you need 90 nutrients just to run on. But in addition to those 90 nutrients, it's important that you not do continuous damage to the body. Otherwise, you are sabotaging your own efforts to be well. So I tell people all the time, if you're going to be taking supplements while you're eating poorly, that's like pouring gasoline onto a fire you're trying to put out. The fire will never go out because you're doing continuous damage. So let's go to this final clip with Dr. Wallach. And in this clip, he's talking about the importance of a gluten-free diet and supplementation when it comes to alopecia.
I want to talk about male pattern baldness in both men and women. I believe I've run across one of the most effective ways to reverse male pattern baldness in both men and women. I was starting to have the problem myself, even though I'm supplementing very heavily. We know from a big study at Kyoto University that tin deficiency, especially in laboratory animals, will cause a male pattern baldness. And it doesn't matter if it's mice or rats or rabbits or guinea pigs or hamsters or dogs. You get a male pattern baldness, regardless of gender, when it comes to tin deficiency. You replete tin, give them tin back, and they grow their hair back. Well, I've been really pumping the tin, and I wasn't getting the results I was looking for. In fact, I was starting to lose hair on my arms, and I was getting concerned about that. And suddenly now, I was getting symptoms of gluten intolerance, kind of like eat a pretzel or something and get all itchy. So I gave up gluten. I gave up gluten. I don't even go into a household where they have a dog eating dry dog food. And by giving up gluten, hair started growing back on my arms. Of course, I was still taking an enormous amount of tin and the 90 for life. I've been taking the 90 for life twice a day for 65 years. But when I think back about it, as a kid, I did have some symptoms of gluten intolerance. But nobody obviously picked it up and so forth. And over time, when you look around and you say, you know, what cultures on earth really don't have problems with baldness, gray hair, that kind of stuff, it turns out when you look at the Japanese and you look at the Chinese, they live on rice and millet and buckwheat and sweet potatoes, maybe even some pumpkins and squash. But wheat is not a big thing for them. Now, we've known about gluten intolerance since the days of the Greek philosophers and physicians back 2,000 years ago. So gluten intolerance is not a new thing, but most people back in the old days ate buckwheat and millet and that sort of stuff, and wheat wasn't a big part of their diet until, if you go by the anthropologists, say about 10,000 years ago, when in the Fertile Crescent, which in fact what biblically was the Garden of Eden. And since we started introducing wheat to the Western world, Europe and the United States, there's more and more bald men, more and more bald women. I mean, the wig sales are going crazy for both men and women. And I never, got into the wig thing, but there's a lot of people who do. I know a lot of people who wear wigs because they have thin hair. But you go on a gluten-free diet, and you take the 90 essential nutrients, which includes tin. I'm telling you, hair grows back on your arms. If you're interested in that, guys, that gives you a signal, right? And also, the hair grows back in your head. I've had so many people say to me, Doc, are you wearing a wig? You're starting to grow a lot of hair. I said, no, I'm not wearing a wig. It's just coming back. I said, look at my arms. I'm looking like a hairy ape here. The hair's coming back on my arms. And everybody, regardless of gender, you take the 90 essential nutrients. If you're beginning to get thinning hair, a lot of people say, man, my hairbrush is just loaded with hair. I'm clogging up the drain in the bathtub with hair every time I take a shower. It's just falling out. Well, you get on a gluten-free diet, you take the 90 essential nutrients, which is very rich in tin, and guess what? You'll be amazed.
So again, 90 essential nutrients, hear me talk about all the time. 60 minerals, that's 60. 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 3 essential fatty acids. That's the 90, right? Where do you find gluten? 4 main ingredients. Wheat. So when I say wheat, I don't only mean brown bread, I mean white bread as well. If it's not made with gluten-free flour, it's wheat. So wheat, barley. And so I hate to tell you guys who like to drink beers, but beer is made from hops, which is barley. Vitamalts or malts are made from hops, which is barley. So if you're drinking a lot of malts, you're damaging your gut. I can see the reaction on Fontella's face now. Trust me, ain't nobody that love a malt more than me. Oh, I gotta drink a malt. What? Love a malt. Not realizing that thing was damaging my gut because it's made from hops. So you got wheat, barley, rye. For people who like rye bread, rye damages the gut. I've seen people come with rye flour. I'm like, no, that's not a good flour to use. I know I said go, gluten-free, but rye has gluten. And oats. This is the big one. Oats. Oats. Yes, Fontella, oats. Oats. And don't come to me asking me, what about steel cut? Oats. You cannot eat oats. According to Dr. Wallach, the ingredient in oats that is really gluten is not called gluten. It's called something else, but it still does the same thing what gluten does.
I eat this every morning, Michelle.
Well, see, that might be why
That's crazy.
Yeah, you got to stop. And just to explain for those of you who aren't regulars of the show, why gluten is bad for your gut. Because gluten is a chained amino acid. So amino acids are chained, but when they get into your digestive system is able to break apart the chains, and you can easily digest the amino acids. The problem with gluten is very few people can break that chain apart. So I want you to imagine if you get a string of pearls, and for those of you who watch the show, I know you'll hear it all the time, but just bear with us for those who haven't heard it, okay? So imagine you get a string of pearls and you get a vacuum cleaner and you try to vacuum up that string of pearls intact. It's going to clog up the gears of the vacuum cleaner. But if you pop that string and all of the beads fall to the ground, you can easily suck that up with the vacuum cleaner. That is how your gut works. If the amino acids are broken apart, if the chain is broken apart, it can easily absorb it. It can easily digest it. But with gluten, it goes through your intestines intact, chained together. So it's rumbling through there, doing damage to the villi because your body can't break it apart. So it's literally damaging the apparatus in your digestive system that is responsible for absorbing nutrients into your bloodstream. It's causing them to shrink. And the more gluten you eat, the more they shrink until instead of your gut looking like a shaggy rug, because we are born with billions of villi, instead of looking like a shaggy rug, you've eaten so much gluten that it shrinks down to nothing, and now you've got a tube, and you're not absorbing any nutrients. But you've also now created leaky gut, so things start getting in between what shouldn't be, and they get into your bloodstream, and your immune system does its job. It sees all these foreign things in your bloodstream, and it says, we've got an enemy invader, let's go to war. But unfortunately, in the case of alopecia, it's attacking your hair follicles. All because you don't want to put down that piece of bread and you don't want to stop drinking that beer. Is it worth it? Information is power, Fontella.
Information
Knowledge
is power. This here today, I'm truly being educated on everything that you're saying here today. And Michelle, I am going to go home now and clean out the cupboards. And I'm serious about this because it's worth it to me. It's beyond the hair because, again, I'm past the hair. I came past that years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not one that is still dealing with the stigma of alopecia.
Right.
But what I understand today is that there are so many other things going on.
Yes, it affects your whole body.
The whole body.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's worth it, then I need to do it. For me, I am going to take that. I'm going to be the next testimony. I'm going to let you know if this works or not. I'm coming back and I'm going to let you know if this works or not. And so, Bahamas, just be listening out. I'm going to tell you if what Michelle is saying is true. And I'm going to do, one thing I noticed with us, you know, we always go half. You know, we got to cheat. We got to go in it halfway, but this wouldn't hurt if we this little
this one little piece ain't gonna hurt.
This little piece, and that's why they always come up with this excuse saying, right? You know, we hear when people say, "Oh, something will kill you." You ever hear that?
Mm-hmm.
That's our excuse to do what we want to do when we know we shouldn't. Right. So for me, Michelle, to see the condition of my hair reverse. And the other things that I feel in my body, I'm willing to do this now, especially as we get older.
Yeah.
Especially as we get older, these pains come and we think, no matter how you look, people look at me and say, oh my gosh, you look so good. But they don't know that you're still dealing with certain issues.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So even though I'm in the gym, I have a mom who looks my
age. And you do look amazing,
you know?
by the way. You do look amazing. You really do. You really
it's because of my mother. So we're in the gym. But there's so much more behind this, just like you're saying, you know, we just cannot put the Band-Aid on the situation. We got to get deeper.
Yeah.
With our nutrition, everything we eat, from the exercising, that's just one aspect of it. So today I am making that decision, and I'm hoping that many women who have listened to this program today will make that decision to do it and see if it works. For them who haven't passed that emotional hurdle, I think it's worth doing.
Yeah.
Just for their peace of mind, it's worth the sacrifice.
Definitely. And I mean, it's not, you know, for peace of mind, yes, and for the hair, yes, but the overall health will be impacted, and that's what's most important.
That's the most.
Rose says, Michelle, I believe in what you're saying, but to eat healthy with a family of 3 is very expensive. Rose, it ain't as expensive as having 3 people who's sick.
Or paying that doctor bill for 3 people.
Exactly.
And it is true. We have to find a way.
You got to find a way. And there are ways to See what I say? Somebody asked the question, what about organic oats? Y'all had hard, boy.
That's like steel cut.
Y'all had hard. According to Dr. Wallach, there's I forget what it is. I have to look it up, but there's some oats that is not called gluten, but it has the same effect.
Oats is oats.
Oats is oats. So he advises, even if it says gluten-free, he advises that you shouldn't eat it.
Wow.
Because of, I forget what the thing is in the oats that he says is really still gluten. Or does the same thing that gluten does. So you want to avoid that if you can. And I know a lot of people, some people, that's all they eat every morning for breakfast, but it is what it is.
Well, Michelle, oats is good for cholesterol.
See, even that, again, knowing
that's
the
marketing.
cause.
Yep.
That's the marketing, right?
That's the marketing.
But if you have high cholesterol, that all that means is you have a blood sugar imbalance.
That's right.
So if you fix the blood sugar, you go back to the source of the problem.
To the source.
We always go back to the source. You know? So I don't know. Claudette says it's better for me to eat healthy than to give the money to the doctor because they only treat symptoms and not the problem that causes symptoms. Yeah, go to the head of the class, Claudette. You get it. You get it.
And then you have to pay for the follow-up, Claudette. You know, it's always a follow-up.
You know, and then depending on how many medications you get put on, you got to get a medication to deal with the side effects of all the medications. Anyway. Focus, Michelle. Focus. So yeah, guys, we learned a lot today. And I say we because I also learned a lot today about alopecia and the causes of it. It's not a hair loss problem.
Yes.
Who knew? It's an autoimmune disease, which gives me hope.
Yes.
Because that you can fix. It's I as we listen to Fontella's story and the lady in the clip that we played earlier, I can only imagine how frustrating it is to know you have this condition and for doctors to tell you we don't know what causes it, we don't know what to do with it, and you feel like a guinea pig going from this one to the next one and not getting any results. So this information gives me hope.
Yes.
Because it tells me that there is something that we can do. You know? So let's do what we know we need to do. We can change these problems. We can fix these problems. Alopecia is just one symptom, as are other things like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis that are autoimmune problems. Thyroid disease, an autoimmune problem. So if we fix the immune system, and it is fixable, then we don't have to be dealing with all of these issues. So that's what I want to encourage you to do today, you know, to live a healthier life. Okay, so somebody's helping me out. Somebody says, let's see, this is Bilal, says the ingredient you're talking about is avenin. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Avenin. That does sound familiar. I got to go look that up. I think he's talking about the ingredient oats.
Yes.
That has the same effect as gluten. So even though it says gluten-free on the packaging, according to Dr. Wallach, you should still not eat oats of any kind. Another part of the problem with wheat corn doesn't have gluten, but corn and soy have they're profusely genetically modified and sprayed with Roundup, which is a carcinogen. So you want to avoid corn and soy as well, because they cause inflammation in the body. They can cause cancer because of the fact that they are genetically modified, and because of the fact that they are profusely sprayed with a chemical called glyphosate, which is the technical name for Roundup, which is a weed killer, which also causes cancer in the human body. Educate yourself, people.
Yes.
Go organic as much as possible. Go organic. Go to your farmers markets. Talk to your farmer directly, face to face. Find out what they're using to grow their food, and if you buy it fresh from them, it lasts so much longer than if you buy the stuff that's imported. That's gonna start degenerating in a couple of days because that done been hanging around for a couple of weeks just to get to you. Buy local, buy organic, support your local farmer. It'll taste better. Listen, I don't buy bananas at the food store, for instance. And the people who they buy these bananas from know that you like things would look pretty.
Yes.
So they gas these bananas so they could be perfectly yellow and perfect. Go buy yourself one of them spotty looking banana here. Because it could taste way better. You don't eat the skin anyhow, so I don't know why you're so attracted just because it's yellow. You don't eat the skin.
It's the marketing.
Marketing.
Wow.
And our local bananas taste so much better. Right? So I don't fool with no pretty banana in the food store because they ain't got no taste. You eat them and it's like they don't have no taste. I lie, Fontella.
No. You have me blown away right now. It is so true. It is so true.
Go organic. I'm telling you, it's so easy to do, and it's so much cheaper to buy, generally speaking, from your local farmer than it is to buy the stuff in the food store. Now, one of the things that I would like to encourage the Ministry of Agriculture to do, because what I've heard many times when I've said this to people who live in the inner cities, Michelle, how I can get all the way to Gladstone Road to go to the farmer's market, how I can get all the way to this place, and they're absolutely right. So I don't know if there's a plan for this. I know that they have been pushing backyard farming, but I would really like to encourage them to try to help to establish more community associations where farmers markets can be set up within the inner communities, where people have access to it.
Yes.
It's cheaper, it's healthier, it's organic, it's fresher. So we can encourage our people to eat healthier. Because right now we're giving them excuses not to.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So almost out of time, Fontella. Thank you so much for being here. Your final thoughts as we go to wrap the show up.
Just thank you, Michelle. You know, I think I came here for one thing and I surely got so much more. Thank you for educating me and many others, I'm sure, who knew nothing of what you discussed today. It's just, I know now we just got to do it, Michelle. We just have to do it. We have to make up our mind that this is for us, you know, especially women. We tend to do everything for everyone else, our husbands, our children, our family, our work. We put it all before ourselves, but we have to understand that without our health, we can do nothing for anyone else. And for me, this has been a powerful moment. I will definitely work on this. Definitely. I will definitely be the testimony. I feel it.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
I am excited to have you back on the show after. We're going to do a 90-day program, and then you're going to come back on the show with your testimony of, of how your life has changed.
That's right.
Yeah, you and your family, really, because, you know, going gluten-free especially is not just good for you, but it's good for your whole family.
I agree.
You know, people say to me all the time, Michelle, you know, our grandparents eat this and our grandparents. But, you know, you have to understand that back then they didn't have all these genetically modified foods and, you know, they grew from their own products from the land. And it's not the same anymore. So don't fool yourself into thinking that because they ate it, you could eat it now, because it's not what you eat and what they ate.
That's right.
So let's not fool ourselves and trick ourselves into believing that nonsense. All right, that's my time, y'all. Thank you so much, Fontella, for being here today. Really appreciate you. And thanks for bringing up this topic idea, because, you know, my mind was somewhere else, but I'm glad we did this. Thank you so much. All right, guys, that's my time. Got to get out of here. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much for being a part of GPS today on this Wellness Wednesday. Listen, if you know somebody who's suffering from alopecia and they weren't able to listen to the show, give them a call. It's on Facebook, on the official Michelle Malcolm page. You can go there and watch it again and again and again for the information. All right, I'm going to get out of here. I will see you guys tomorrow. We have a really interesting show planned for tomorrow, and I want to encourage you to be tuned in. That's my time. I'm out of here. Have a good one.
Global 99.5 FM.